So in a previous video, we talked about mutexes and how if you're locking two mutexes and if you end up having a mismatch in the order, you can create a deadlock because thread 1 might have completed this operation and thread 2 may have completed this operation, and thread 1 is now waiting for lock 2 and thread 2 is waiting for lock 1. And so that essentially leads to a deadlock situation. We talked about strategies on how to fix these, but those strategies require a lot of cognitive overload to the programmer. And in this video, I wanted to go over lock and scoped lock. These are both features in C++ that allow you to easily prevent deadlocks from happening without having this whole mental overhead of did I do it in the correct order, or should I use an atomic instead, or should I refactor my code? The easiest way to do this is to use the std lock. Let me zoom in a little bit and say std lock, and all you got to do is pass in mutex1 and mutex2. Let's just say that, the first thread is at this line of code. This prevents the thread from going to this line of code until both mutex1 and mutex2 are available. The other thing that it does is that as soon as they're available, it actually locks them both at the same time. If you've got more mutexes, you could write like this, right? You could write more. But in this case, we're just waiting for these two mutexes. And what you have to do in this case is to change your code. This lock is going to try to lock mutex1, but mutex1 has already been locked here. So you just need to pass in this parameter, adopt lock. It tells this specific lock guard to adopt the lock from here, and same goes here. And of course, you're going to want to do this in the second function as well. So let's do that real quick. Let me copy these. Delete that, and let's reorder these. We know that in the previous example, writing lock 2 and lock 1 like this would cause a deadlock, but in this example, when we write code like this, it should not cause a deadlock because we have this std lock like so, which ensures that when you're in this thread or this thread, you can only proceed if you've got both mutex1 and mutex2. So when I run this code, you'll notice that every single time the counter is going to get to 2000, which is correct. So basically, this is the generic way to prevent a deadlock from happening. One other thing to note is that if you just use std lock like this, it's going to lock the mutex1 and 2, but it's never going to unlock it. Using this approach where you adopt the lock using the lock guard ensures that you use the principle of RAII to unlock the mutex as soon as it's going out of scope at the end of this loop. And of course, the C++ committee realized that writing this much code might be a lot of extra work, so they kind of simplified all of this into the scoped lock, which we can write like so. std scoped lock mutex1 and mutex2. It's going to perform the operations that are performed in these three lines of code. They introduced this in C++ 17. Let's be real, C++ 11 is quite old, so I'm sure most of you guys are off of that already. So you can just write code like this. And of course, we're going to also want to do this in the second function, increment 2. And by the way, if you're kind of curious like me, I like going to the function just to see what happens. And inside of here, the first thing you'll notice is that, well, apparently you need at least 2 locks required. If you go to the initialization of scoped lock, you're going to notice that it actually just calls std lock. So it's basically just a wrapper around the lock function. And if you're looking at the destructor here, it does this thing called unlock and unpack, which the definition for is right here. And this just does some sort of unlock. So essentially, you're just doing the same thing that the lock guard did, but in much less code and in a much smoother fashion. Of course, that's always appreciated. And if I run this code, you'll notice that it just works as we would expect. The main thing is that this is way fewer lines of code. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about in this video. If you made it this far, hit the like button, and yeah, consider subscribing for more random C++ deep dives just like this. And if you want to sponsor the channel, just send me an email. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.